This is Tyler Stewart, and this is Sprint 3 for Rate My Politician. Achievements this fall. Search feature for politicians, local admins adding news for their state, local admin adding news for politicians from their state, super admins adding news for states and national news, super admins adding news for politicians from any state. Epic story. As an unregistered user, I want to be able to search for politicians so that I can find their pages more easily. Child stories. As an unregistered user, I want to have a drop-down with all the states and federal so that I can narrow down to a certain category. Acceptance criteria. Drop-down will have all states. User will be able to select state. When selected, the selected state will show and all else will disappear. After selection, an input box will appear below it. So if we go to politicians and select the state, that one pops up and all disappear, and then a box appears below it. As an unregistered user, I want to have a text box so I can filter down even more by name or position. Acceptance criteria. Text box will appear when drop-down is selected. When key is pressed, it will search through the selected state's politicians and find any matches. All politicians that match will show and others will disappear. So we're going to search by name. Kevin, Tyler, Jim, or we can search by position, so governor, or we can search senator, or state. Epic story. As a local admin, I want to be able to add news about my state so that citizens of that state can see it in their dashboard. Child stories. As a local admin, I want to be able to access the Add Politician News tab so that I can add news. Acceptance criteria. Tab will be visible. User will be able to click on it. So let's log in. As a local admin, if we go to administration, we can add news right here. And we can only add news for Oklahoma. Child story. As a local admin, I want to be able to enter in news, URL, and image so that the news can have information. Acceptance criteria. News text area will be visible. User will be able to enter into it. URL input will be visible. User will be able to enter into it. Image selector is on screen. User is able to select an image. So here's our news. Our URL. And we can choose a file here. Child stories. As a local admin, I want to be able to click Add so that the data will be submitted to the system. Acceptance criteria. Button will be displayed on screen. When clicked, data is submitted to database. Page will be redirected to dashboard. So here's our button, and when we click it, it takes us back to the dashboard. And then if we check our database here, right here is our news. www.google.com. Epic story. As a local admin, I want to be able to add news about my politicians so that the citizens of that state can see it in their dashboard. Child stories. As a local admin, I want to be able to access the Add News tab so I can add news. Acceptance criteria. Tab will be visible. User will be able to click on it. So if we go to administration, we go to Add Politician News. Here we can see Add Politician News for Oklahoma. Child stories. As a local admin, I want to be able to select the politician from my state so that it will be on his page. Acceptance criteria. The politician drop-down will be displayed. Only politicians from that user state will be displayed. So if we look at this drop-down, only the Oklahoma ones are displayed. As a local admin, I want to be able to enter news, URL, and image so that the news can have information. Acceptance criteria. News text area will be visible. User will be able to enter into it. URL input will be visible. User will be able to enter into it. Image selector is on screen. User is able to select an image. So let's select Tyler Stewart. And do Here's a picture. And there you go. As a local admin, I want to be able to click Add so the data will be submitted to the system. Acceptance criteria. Button will be displayed on screen. When clicked, data is submitted to database. Page will redirect to politicians page. So here we go. We'll hit Add News. We are now redirected to the news we just added. And here is that actual news in the link. Epic story. As a super admin, I want to be able to add news about nationwide information so that individuals can see what is going on nationwide. Child stories. As a super admin, I want to be able to add the Add Politician News tab so that I can add news. Acceptance criteria. Tab will be visible. User will be able to click on it. Let's log in as a super admin. So if we go to Add News, here we can add news. As a super admin, I want to be able to enter the location, news, URL, and image so that the news can have information. Acceptance criteria. News text area will be visible. Users will be able to enter into it. URL input will be visible. User will be able to enter into it. Image selector is on screen. User is able to select the image. States and national will be in location dropdown. So here's the news URL. And then we choose a file here. And then the drop-down has all the locations and national. So if it's national news, we select national. If not, we select state. As a super admin, I want to be able to click Add so the data will be submitted to the system. Acceptance criteria. Button will be displayed on screen. When clicked, data is submitted to database. Page will redirect to politicians page. So here we go. There's a button. I'm going to click it. Goes back to dashboard. And then check the database. Refresh. We can see the Alabama was added. Epic story. As a super admin, I want to be able to add news about all politicians so that the citizens of that state can see it in their dashboard. Child stories. As a super admin, I want to be able to access the Add Politicians News tab so I can add news. Acceptance criteria. Tab will be visible. User will be able to click on it. So here we go. Go add a politician news, and here we go. And we can add them from all locations. As a super admin, I want to be able to enter the news, URL, and image so that the news can have information. Acceptance criteria. News text area will be visible. User will be able to enter into it. URL input will be visible. User will be able to enter into it. Image selector is on screen. User is able to select an image. And here we go. Then URL. There's another file. There we go. As a super admin, I want to be able to select a politician from any state so that it can be on his page. Acceptance criteria. Politician drop-down will be displayed. Politicians from all states will be in the drop-down. So unlike the last one, we can see all states instead of just one. So let's add Bernie Sanders. As a super admin, I want to be able to click Add so the data will be submitted to the system. Acceptance criteria. Button will be displayed on screen. When clicked, data is submitted to database. Page will redirect to politicians page. Here's the button. And click Add. So that's to Bernie Sanders. And then if we go to politician news, and then refresh it. Here is our news. And that is it. Thank you very much.